scroll down to them. I think there's about 6 up at the moment. I will upload more as we go through the semester, but you just need to do at least 4. You can do more if you want to. And those are quick tasks, right? They marked online and those contribute to 10% of your year mark. So please try to get through them. I don't have a closing date just yet, but I will close it just in time for when I need to submit your mark. So try and get through that. Okay, can I just check, has everybody got assignment 1 at this point? Okay, because your assignment is due in about 3.5 weeks, I think it is. Okay, so that is available. If you are struggling to access it, please let me know. I'll pop it onto ARC for you. I'm going to do a recording early next week of just some assistance with your assignment, right? So I'll tell you how to format it and give you some guidance on that as well. And then I hope you have access to the YouTube channel, and I have been, okay, Jacqueline, let me then just upload the assignment onto ARC for you. I'll create a folder titled Assignment 1, and I'll pop it in there. Then just check that folder for any additional support that I will upload for your assignment. Okay, that's no problem. You must just let me know what you need and how best I can make it available for you to find easily, right? I know it's quite a bit with all your modules. So yeah, the YouTube channel, and then I have uploaded slides, so PowerPoint slides for Learning Unit 2 and 3, and there's a voiceover on it. So you can listen to the voiceover in conjunction with the slides, and that should give you some idea of those chapters. Right. At this point in time, you should be able to cover at least question 1 of your assignment. So your question 1 of your assignment deals with Learning Unit 1. So I'm going to do a quick recap of the things that you need to do for that question 1 of your assignment. So your assignment, if you haven't had a look at it already, is a case study, okay, and it's about upcycling. So things that you need to remember for question 1 is factors of production. And so I hope you're taking down notes quickly. Your factors of production are your natural resources, your human resources, capital, entrepreneurship, and knowledge and information. So you need to know your factors of production, which are those 5, and you also need to relate it to a case study and give a little bit of a definition of each one. You must know the difference between a formal and informal company. So remember, formal companies are registered and pay tax and contribute to the GDP. Informal is just your traders, your vendors. They don't pay tax, they don't contribute, okay? Unless your case study says that it is a formal business or it speaks about numerous employees, registration of a company, more than one branch, anything that gives you the indication that this is a big company, it's formal. If it doesn't, and it gives you the indication that it's a vendor or a stall, it's informal. Okay, you got to remember that you need to motivate for your answers. And then you also have to know types of economies. And in particular, we're speaking about a mixed economy like South Africa. So know that we have government and private owned businesses, and then a command economy where everything is owned by the government, and know the advantages to that. Okay, so if you go back and look at question 1, you should be able to answer it now. I suggest you start early with it. Remember to be guided by mark allocation. So normally we double it. If there is 5 marks, then it says a list, you get 5 marks for listing. If it's 10 marks for a definition, it's 1 mark for listing, 1 mark for definition. Try not to overwrite and try not to underwrite. Okay, but I will do a video with the full assignment for you by next week. All good so far? Okay, then just as an indication, you can just give me a thumbs up. Have you managed to have a look at the slides? Have you managed to locate the slides at least, or have a look at it? Because this evening we're going to cover Learning Unit 2 and 3 briefly. So I'm assuming that, okay, perfect. So you have seen it. Right, great. So Learning Unit 3 deals with the entrepreneur and entrepreneurship, okay? And essentially it speaks about an entrepreneur's journey, and what makes an entrepreneur, the features, the functions, all of that. All right. So just a recap from my slides. Remember, entrepreneur is someone who starts a business, someone who has the intention to do better than they already are, someone who wants to make a profit and is prepared to take risks. Okay. Entrepreneurship, on the other hand, is the process that an entrepreneur goes through. So, an entrepreneur is someone who has all of these traits, and entrepreneurship is the process in which an entrepreneur now engages in business. All right. An entrepreneur, very important also for your assignment. An entrepreneur creates value for society. Okay, so when you're asked how does an entrepreneur create value, they provide jobs for society, they contribute to tax, to the GDP, and they create wealth for a country. So over the years, we have managed to say that a manager can be taught, but an entrepreneur is born. And so we said an entrepreneur has innate skills, meaning it's something that comes from within. And when we try to narrow it down, and these are just a very narrow, a limited list, okay? An entrepreneur is an innovator, somebody that's always trying to do things better, looking for ways to be more innovative, to create wealth, to save, to create profit. Somebody that's a risk taker, willing to take those risks, and even if it leads to losses, they're happy to pick themselves up and continue. Okay, somebody that's organized can take all factors of production that we just spoke about and create a business. Someone who's concise and can make decisions and stick to those decisions to see it through. A leader and somebody that can speak. Okay. So when we have an entrepreneur who demonstrates those traits, they engage in entrepreneurship. All right. Um, and I've duplicated that on that slide, so I need to correct that for you. But a role of an entrepreneur is someone that now starts to open up a business and provide that wealth for the community. Okay, so how does an entrepreneur sort of contribute to society? And we say that they do it in various ways, right? So an entrepreneur shows commitment and passion, somebody who's determined to take risks, somebody that's prepared to lead people, a good human relations, the ability to speak to others and encourage others. And more than often, it's somebody who's creative, innovative, and is someone that's independent and willing to take control. Right. So that basically sums up what an entrepreneur is and what an entrepreneur does. Okay, so we've got this person. Now, how does entrepreneurship begin? Okay, and we say that it's a process. So in management, you're going to learn many processes because every activity we link it to a process. Key things you need to remember about a process is that there is no start and there is no end. Okay, so often when you see us depict a process, it's always with arrows at a continuous flow. So it means that at no point in time does entrepreneurship start and end. We have steps, but the last step always leads to the first step and we regenerate the process. Okay, so every entrepreneur goes through this process. It can be short, it can be quick, it can be long, it can take years. All right. When there's a problem in the environment or in society, and when an entrepreneur thinks of a solution, they go through an idea generating phase. And this is where they sit and they ponder with an issue and they try to find different ideas that they can use to mitigate this, right? Once they've come up with a few ideas, they then sit with it and they start to evaluate each idea that they've had. Okay. They look at which is profitable, what are the downsides of this, where am I going to make more profit, where am I using the resources I have. And once they've evaluated it, they then decide on one that they want to go with. So once that is done, that's their idea for their business, something that they want to start. they then start to now generate funds to generate a plan going forward. And this is where an entrepreneur writes a business plan. Okay, so just before I continue, I want to just check how many of you have either written a business plan or have had a look at a comprehensive business plan at this point? You can just let me know in the chat. Yes, Leo. Okay, right. So just the wrong click. Okay, so previously when I studied, a business plan was written. Okay, so typed a little bit back then, and it was very basic. It was on Word, and you had all the headings that you needed to follow, and you followed it, and that was it. It was very basic, and you had to rely on the content of that business plan to actually stand out. Now, however, there are numerous types of business plan. AI and apps make it really, it makes it interesting, okay? But in essence, a business plan is something that will get you finance, it will get you shareholders, it will attract employees, it will tell you exactly what your business needs and how it's going to run before you start it. Okay. It also serves as a purpose for a person, an entrepreneur, to sit and plan out their journey. And through that planning stage, they then are able to determine whether something is feasible or not. So that business plan is something that really puts you in a good step to start your business. Also important to note is that if you are applying for finance, which most entrepreneurs do, banks and other financing institutions see thousands of business plans a day. So your business plan has to stand out. And the only way your business plan can stand out is if you focus on that executive summary. Right at the top, that is a summary of your business plan, and it has to stand out and it has to be catchy because they only read the executive summary, and if they like it, they put it to read again. If they don't, they kick it out. So if you ever are in a position to write one, make sure that in that short paragraph, you encapsulate everything in that plan. The second feature of a business plan is to make sure that it is reasonably done to point, meaning you haven't exaggerated any figures in your financial statements. You haven't overestimated your abilities because that also gets business plans thrown out. Okay. Also remember that as an entrepreneur, it is fine to make a loss in the first couple months of starting off. So don't over exaggerate your finances. Okay, so in the next slide, I've populated a nice video for you to watch. I think it explains everything about a business plan, and sometimes a video is better than actually trying to read through theory. So that you can watch. I'm not going to waste your time this evening and play the video for you unless you really want me to. Okay, so once you have drawn up your business plan, you then start to identify resources that you need. Okay, so when we look at resources, we're not just talking about your capital and your equipment and those type of things. We're also talking about things. We're also talking about things like your human capital, um, how you're going to now look at your customers. So you allocate all your resources that you need. The very first thing that you need to ensure that you have is your capital in terms of funds, furniture, and an actual building that you're going to start your business from. You then start to look at your raw material that you need, so your supply chain process, and you're going to then look at the skill set that you need to employ in your business. Remember, the most important resource is human resources, and that really makes your business stand out. So skilled human resources. Okay, so once you've done that and you've identified your required resources, you now need to start going with your business. Okay, so how do you actually acquire these resources? How do you form your business? How do you departmentalize it? What do you do with these resources in order to start your business? So very often businesses fail not because they don't have resources, but because they don't know what to do with the resources. And that is a fundamental problem, especially in South Africa. So once you have all these resources at your disposal, The success of your business depends on how you formulate your business and how you utilize the resources that you are given. There are numerous businesses that have been given endless amounts of capital and they still did not manage to make a profit year after year. And it's not then because they don't know, it's not because there's no demand for their products or their skills, it's that they don't know how to utilize it. Okay. So once you formulate your business and you then decide how you're going to launch, are you going to launch small? Are you going to launch on a large scale? Are you going to start off with a niche product? When you've made all those decisions and you've created your departments within your organization, you are then ready to kick off your business and to watch and monitor the growth. Okay. Now, a quick question. So, the sixth step here is growth and harvest. Okay, so we started from idea generation. We formed this business and we went to a point where we can grow and we can harvest our profits. Is there why would this then be a process where I say it goes back to step one? What can you think of that will require an entrepreneur to go back to step one? They are growing and they are harvesting their income, they are making a profit, and things are going well. Why would we need to go back to step one? Any idea? Okay, so the first person or company that developed the first, yes, changes in the market, such as trends of consumers, would require new ideas. Absolutely. All right. The first cell phone that was launched into the market that was a new innovation. It was life changing. And it made a lot of money, right? So redefining processes, learning and adapting. Absolutely. So you need to constantly change, right? If you think about what was it, the Nokia 3410, I think it was quite a brick, but it was amazing. Okay. You could answer a call, you could SMS, and you could play Snake on it. It was life changing. They obviously made a lot of money when they launched that product. But if they stopped at stage 6 and said, right, this is taking off, well done to me, let me get my profits and continue to live, they would be obsolete, right? So you can't sit comfortably. The minute you feel comfortable, you know that you are at risk of becoming obsolete. So when you start to develop something and you launch it and it starts to go, you then see that your profits, once it hits that sort of uphill and you see that the growth before that product start to plateau and come down into a decline phase, you need to start rethinking and you need to start regenerating ideas, and that is what keeps a business going. Okay, so if you look at SABC, I hope nobody's working there, but if you look at SABC, right, at one stage, I mean, it was a profitable company. We had SABC, we had 1, 2, and 3, and we were doing fine. Then we got ETV, and it was so exciting. And then Mnet came in, and whatever the case was, and then DSTV, and everybody was still excited, and we still put the TV on and needed a, satellite, and whatever the case was, and everybody paid their TV license. But then that was all that they did. So they gave us SABC 1, 2, and 3, ETV. I mean, you could go get Mnet and then however that worked with SABC, whatever it was. And they stayed like that. They didn't keep abreast of the changes of streaming and people now moving away from 1, 2, and 3. Who still watches SABC 1, 2, 3, ETV? Anybody? Yeah, I'm going to assume no. Okay. So they sit comfortably and now they're at a situation where they have a whole lot of employees, a business, and no way to generate income. Okay, so now they're going to want to charge us for, I don't know, streaming on our cell phones and using Netflix and Showmax and whatever it is. But that's what happens when you have a product that's going well, but you don't try to innovate. Okay, then you start to do some foolish things because you can see that it's declining now. Okay, sorry if anybody works there. I am very sorry. But there are many examples of that. Okay. So this is a summary of entrepreneur and the entrepreneurial journey. But in your exam and in your assignment, you are going to be asked to sort of use this and apply this. So I'm going to give you quick examples of how this can be used. Right, so on your screen, there should be a quiz or a poll that's coming up. I mean, it's anonymous, so I really don't know who's answering it, but this is an example of how it's going to be tested, right? So which trait is shown when an entrepreneur comes up with a new product or ideas? Just let me know, can you see it? Right, so you should be able to click on the one that makes sense. There we go, I can see the responses coming in. All right, so which trait is shown when an entrepreneur comes up with a new product idea? Is it risk-taking, creativity, or confidence? Okay, so that is creativity. The next one. An entrepreneur invests in a new business, knowing there's a chance of failure. This shows commitment, risk-taking, or vision. Right, so this is the type of a question which can confuse you, especially when you are a little panicked in your exam. Okay, so which one do you think it is, firstly? Right, the most suitable one is risk-taking because they say that there is a chance of failure. All right, if it said that an entrepreneur is committed or sticking with the business even though it is failing or showing current losses, that is commitment. Or an entrepreneur starts a business looking ahead and can see a profit, that is vision. All right, so this would be risk taking. And then the last one quickly, which trait is shown when an entrepreneur sees future trends and acts early? Is it confidence, vision, or motivation? Okay, and the answer here is vision. That ability to see the future beyond what you're just looking at right now. Okay, so this is just a very quick example of how these concepts can sort of trick you in an exam, and it seems all easy, and silly questions can really mess with you when you are sitting in that timed pressure situation. Okay. Right, any questions about entrepreneurship, entrepreneurial process? Right, I'm going to upload the slides for you so you can watch this video on the business plan. It clearly outlines it. Unless you want me to play it now and you want to watch it, just let me know. All comfortable with watching it? Right. Okay, so what you do need to know about a business plan, and this is also in your assignment, is what is it used for? So it is used to attract shareholders, finance opportunities, to give the entrepreneur an insight into where his business is or her business is going and to outlay the journey of the business. And then you need to know the elements of it and what are the benefits of a business plan. Okay. Then learning unit 3, when I uploaded the slides, it went through each type of business that an entrepreneur can or has the opportunity to launch with, right? So if you follow the journey of the entrepreneur, we spoke about why there's a need for entrepreneurship in Learning Unit 1. We spoke a little bit about the difference in management and entrepreneurship. We spoke about what an entrepreneur needs to do to be future thinking. And then we focused specifically on the entrepreneur, the traits, the characteristics, the role of an entrepreneur, and the process of entrepreneurship. So once we have all of that, an entrepreneur then has various options available to them to open up and start their business. Okay. So I hope that you did listen to the voiceover from Learning Unit 3 because I went quite in depth. What I have done for you here is I've taken all that information and I've summarized it into a quick table that you should be able to learn and be okay for your exam and your assignments. Okay, so I'm going to get into this, but I want to teach it in a different way. So I'm going to launch a poll like I did just now, and we will discuss as we go with it. Right. Again, your names are not recorded, so it's just for your own insight. Okay, so the first one says Sipho runs a small spaza shop by himself and makes all decisions alone. His business is not registered as a company. Okay, doesn't mean his business is not registered as a business, it's not registered as a company. What type of business does he run? A partnership, a sole proprietor, or a cooperative? Okay, so Sipho runs a sole proprietor. What are the highlights of a sole proprietor? A sole proprietor is one person that has an idea and wants to start off small. So very often a sole proprietor is somebody that just wants to open up their business, launch it in the market, earn small scale, manage their business all on their own. They have capital that is sufficient to start their business. They don't require additional support from anybody. If they do need capital, they are in a position to get a loan or from stakeholders, but they will remain in control of their business. Okay. One person running his or her own little show makes all the decisions, is solely in charge of that business, earns all the profit. Okay. Sole proprietor is one of the easiest businesses to start off in South Africa. So when you see a question that says anything about a small business, runs it him or herself, makes all the decisions, gets all the profit at the end of the day, that is sole proprietor. All right. Next one. Lorato and Thabo start a bakery together. Okay, now there's an interesting word together, meaning it can't be a sole proprietor. Sharing profits and responsibilities. Okay, they didn't register as a company. Okay, so the fact that they didn't register as a company means it's not a private company and it's not a trust. Okay, because there's no attorneys, there's no legality around that. So this is a partnership. Okay, when I go through the next question, we're going to speak about partnerships and close cooperations. So a partnership is often when there are more than one person that wants to now start a business. They both have assets, or three or four people, they have assets, they have knowledge, they have skills, and they want to start a partnership. All right. They work together, they make decisions together, they earn together. If that business goes bankrupt, it goes bankrupt as a group of people. Okay. In terms of a partnership, just if there are two people that go into a partnership, like Lorato and Thabo, it doesn't mean that profits have to be shared 50-50. Okay. If there are three people, it doesn't mean that we have to share a 33.3%. So profits can be shared according to the profit, the capital that's been contributed. So if two people go into partnership and one contributes 60% of the capital and one contributes 40%, they can then divide profits according to that ratio. So it helps in a sense where you might just need 30% help, but you still want to have the majority of ownership of that partnership, right? So you can do that. If you add more capital, you earn more. In terms of losses, any loss that occurs is shared between the partners. Um, if one partner can no longer operate or the company or is deceased, that company, the partnership ceases to exist, which means it dissolves itself. Okay, so not much continuity there. Okay, number 3, Empor registers a business with the IPC that allows her to have shareholders, but it cannot it cannot sell shares to the public, right? So this is an interesting one. You can register your business as a company, but you cannot sell shares to the public. You can have shareholders, but you can't sell. All right. That instantly takes close corporations off because it's registered with CIPC. You can have shareholders, so that might be a private, it might be a public company. But the minute you cannot sell shares to the public on the JSE, it becomes a private company, which means I can then open up my business, but I need shareholders because I don't have the funds. So what I then go is I go to a few people that I know, and we together decide to open up a company and register it. What it does mean is that it's a private company. Only we are allowed to make decisions. We vote. We have a board of directors. Those shareholders it's a private agreement between us. We are not allowed to trade on the JSE. The minute we are allowed to trade on the JSE, we become a public company. So you and I can go onto the JSE and buy shares in public companies. All right. We can buy shares in Anglo American. We can buy shares in APSA, whatever it is. What we cannot do is go and buy shares in the private company that is operating down the road. As lucrative as it looks, we cannot go and buy shares unless they invite us to be part of their private company. Okay, all good so far? Perfect. Right, so then a large supermarket chain in South Africa sells shares on the JSE, just the Johannesburg Stock Exchange. And then instantly now we know that it's a public company. Okay. A public company sells shares to shareholders to gain profit. They do so on the JSE, which means if a company is listed on the JSE, you and I can go and buy shares in that. It also means that the public company has a responsibility to publicly make available their financial statements, all right? Because if you and I are investing, we can't invest in the dark, so it has to declare its financial statements and its position at the end of every financial year. As you can imagine, a public and a private company are very difficult to involve. There's a lot of legalities around starting up one and responsibility to the shareholders. Okay, so in your exam or in your assignment, the minute you see the Johannesburg Stock Exchange, it's a public company. If you see shareholders that are not listed or you cannot just go and buy off that company, it's a private company. Right, number 5, a group of emerging farmers from a business that is member owned and democratically run to support each other. Okay. Is it a sole proprietor, a cooperative, or a private company? Now, we've already been through a sole proprietor and we've been through a private company. So this is a cooperative. So a cooperative is not something that you engage with every day or you hear of every day. And essentially what a cooperative is, it's a society or a community. Um, in this case, it's farmers. And what they do is they form a business where they make decisions in that business through voting and it's democratically run, but the business is informed to support each other. Okay, so for instance, If we have 3 farmers, one has a company where they recycle their waste and they create fertilizer. And then there is another company, another farmer that farms tomatoes. And the third farmer that has stock, like sheep or cows or whatever it is, right? We all need things from each other. So we then have an agreement where we buy from each other at a reduced price and we support each other. So the minute you have companies that or in a society where they buy from each other and they support each other and there's an agreement that goes on, it's a cooperative. Okay. And then the sixth one, a business registered in the past by a single member at a CIPC, which is no longer available to register today. Okay. So this is a closed corporation. Closed corporations were a type of business that you could run very similar to a partnership where there's more than one member. It was registered and it ran in the same way and not as difficult to open as a partnership, but profits and losses were still shared amongst all the members of the CC. You cannot open a CC, any new CCs, but there are still companies that were previously registered as closed corporations that are allowed to continue until such time maybe a part of somebody from the CC passes away or decides they don't want to be in business, then that CC will dissolve and they won't be able to re-register their company as a CC. They will have to register as a partnership. Okay. Does anybody have any idea why we are not allowed to register closed corporations anymore? So closed corporation ran very, very similar to a partnership, but it wasn't without being governed as much as a partnership is. All right. So closed corporation didn't have so many rules to abide by, and sometimes it did put the members of the CC at risk. Okay. So because of that reason, if you want to open up a company and you see it's a CC, you want to follow a CC, you can go in and open up a partnership. Please, in your exam, I say this every year, you will be asked, you'll be given a case study, and it will say to you, please recommend a type of business and motivate. Okay. If it looks very close to a partnership, please put partnership. Do not put close cooperation. I often say that regardless of what you put, sometimes if you motivate, I can give you a few marks. But if you put a close cooperation, instantly you cannot even get a half a mark because we cannot open a close cooperation any longer. So understand what a close cooperation is. Um, understand that there are in existence, but there's no new close cooperation, and leave it there. Okay, don't recommend it in any of your exams or assessments. All right, only if it says identify it, previously opened, no longer available, then it's a close cooperation. Other than that, let's leave close corporations in the past where they belong. Okay, and the last one, an entity created to manage assets for the benefit of others, often used for estate planning. And this is a trust. Okay, so a trust is opened up for a variety of reasons, and trusts do earn profit. A trust has a trustee, it's someone who is appointed to take care of the trust. They cannot use the funds legally of the trust, but they are paid trust fees. And it's the trustee's responsibility to ensure that that trust runs efficiently and it makes a profit, and it's done so in the best interest of who is going to benefit from that trust. Okay. Why do we need a trust? If you have children and you have a business and you underage children who cannot run a company on their own, you can put it in your estate planning that any assets go into a trust and it will be for the benefit of the children. If you have adults who are not able to to probably run the business. You don't have confidence in them, or maybe they are not in a position to legally stand as a natural person. You will then open up a trust for them. Trusts can sometimes have conditions onto it, and so there's various reasons why you would want a trust. All right. So that is the type of businesses that are available, and how you would apply it if you were given a case study. Okay. So any questions that you have before we end our session this evening? All good so far? Yes, Joshua. Oh, perfect. Okay.
Sorry.
No problem. All right. Then if there's anything, I'm going to stay online. If you just want to stay after and chat, then that is fine. So just for the week ahead, I will continue to upload slides. This will be put in a folder that has Colab folders, just so that you can go into the slides and watch the videos and get summaries of what we've discussed. The full chapters go in after each learning unit. At the bottom, there's a folder that says Lectures Resources. I pop in the slides with the voiceovers there. And remember to please try and do your ICE tasks. There has been nobody that's completed one, and yeah, it's not nice. So try and complete them if you can. If you can do them all really quickly, then that's done for this module. Okay. Next week there will be the assignment. I'll put it in a folder and a recording on that assignment. Try to get started with it. Remember, for this module, it's like any other module: reference in, reference list, in-text reference. Okay. If there's nothing further, have a lovely evening, and I wish you all the best for the rest of the week. Please, if you need me, just message me, email me, and I will respond to you. Okay, so I'm going to stay on if anybody else needs me.